Good evening, everybody. My name is Seth Eisenberg, right there. And this is the Conservative Corner. It is 7:01 on Sunday evening. So if you're supposed to be here, good deal. If you're not supposed to be here and you're lost, it's a good thing. So don't run. You're fine. Trust me, you're safe. Hope everybody had a good week and a good weekend. Well, it's not completely over. You got a few more hours on the weekend. Then it's back to the grind tomorrow. I got to hit lotto. Tired of working. Just want to sit around on a beach somewhere all day and accomplish nothing, but still make money. So yeah, I guess I got to start buying tickets or something. I think the lotto's up to like what, 900 million or something now, some crazy amount. Someone's got to win it. Doesn't have to be me though, but someone's going to win it. And then if you live in Jersey, November 4th is Tuesday, is your election day. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I'll be up there with the Hammer on Tuesday evening at Blackwood. But again, we'll get more into that later on. I don't want to mess it up and tell you wrong stuff. So we'll talk about that later. And then we'll have fun. It'll be cool. I've never been to that part of Jersey, so it'll be neat. I'll enjoy it, get to hang out with Damon and Damon. First time I've met them in person, so that'll be a good time. Just that alone. I'm even thinking about taking a shower before I go there. So that's how important it is to me. Clean up, get a shave and a haircut. Who knows? It'll get crazy, but it'll be a good time. And I hope you all can make it and hang out for a little while. We can find out who's winning the local elections and the state elections. We'll have live numbers the whole evening, and it'll just be a good time all around. So yeah, I hope you all can make it. I'll be there. I'll make the schlep up from Maryland, and then I'll hang out for a while. Get to know y'all. Good times. All right, so let's get straight into it. If you've never watched the podcast before, I start off with like breaking and interesting news. Just sometimes it's not breaking because I realize it's Sunday and stuff has happened during the week before I get here. So it's mostly interesting stuff or stuff that just caught my eye and I wanted to talk about. So this came up when I was looking through the stuff. Gen Z wants people to stop using the thumbs up emoji. I'm saying it's rude. I've read other places where they say it's racist or white privilege or some other nonsense that these idiots come up with. I can't imagine having no life, sitting around all day looking at my phone and emojis and going, which ones offend me? And then I'm going to tell people they can't use it because it hurts my feelings. I don't understand how the thumbs up emoji is rude. I've looked at it a lot. I use it a lot, and I've never had anybody send me back a text reply like, hey, that's very rude. Please don't send the thumbs up emoji to me again. And if somebody did that to me, I would literally send it to them like 1,000 times. I really can't understand how weak people are. I mean, it amazes me every day when these people find something that's so unimportant and so trivial in the real world, but they want to make it something big and important, like a thumbs up emoji. I would say get a life, get a job, move out of your parents' basement, try to accomplish something with your life, and things like that won't bother you anymore because you'll be too busy doing other stuff. I mean, really, if you have that much time on your hands where you can figure out what emojis are rude, you have entirely too much free time on your hands. Really. Get out of the Starbucks, stop trying to write a novel and get a real goddamn job. Stop wasting everybody else's time with your nonsense. Thumbs up. Is this rude too? Or is that not rude anymore? Can I do this? Or is this the new this? Fucking people. I wonder how these people's parents think about them when they see their children or, hey, mom, dad, the thumbs up emoji's rude. And they're like, geez, I wish I'd worn a condom. You're not my kid. You were adopted. We found you in a dumpster somewhere. I mean, really, people are just idiots. Here's another one from the idiot file. Will my food stamps renew across the country a course of desperation and anger? You know how you avoid worrying about food stamps? Again, get a goddamn job. It's not my responsibility. It's not the taxpayer's responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility to feed you. Unless you are handicapped or a veteran or have a legitimate medical reason that you can't get out of your house to feed yourself, it is your responsibility to feed yourself. It is not mine. It is not the government's. It is not your neighbor's. It's nobody's responsibility, especially the government, because the government doesn't produce anything to pay for anything. The way they pay for things is they take our tax dollars and take it from other things that are more important and give it to people that are too lazy to get a job. People that have like 25 kids and they expect the government and society to pick up the bill. There are churches and private organizations that run food banks that are not government funded. That's what should be happening. The government should not be involved in any of that at any point in time because we are paying for it. And I don't want to pay for that because some of these people have been on food stamps their entire lives. They get food stamps, they get cash assistance, they get reduced rent, they get free medical, they get everything free, and there's no need for them to better themselves. So they stay trash for their entire life. And then they pass that mentality on to their children, who pass it on to their children. I mean, it's generational, and the government does nothing to do it. And the thing is, it's not that the government doesn't want to help food stamps. It's they don't want to pay for illegal aliens' food stamps or medical benefits, but the Democrats do. I don't want to pay for anything when it comes to illegals, not a damn thing. They don't deserve a penny of taxpayer dollars, not one. There are veterans we should be taking care of. There are elderly people that should be taken care of. They should be in front of the line. Illegal immigrants should not even be on the radar. They shouldn't even be here in the first place. And it's not the Republicans that are voting for it or trying to or keeping it from them. It's the Democrats that don't want to budge. They want to fund the illegals rather than their own countrymen. That's where the problem is. But they're going to keep telling you it's because Trump doesn't want to help the people or the Republicans don't want to help people. No, we want to help Americans. We want to help Americans. Don't want to help illegals. Have no desire whatsoever to help illegals. None. Neither should you. And if you're that adamant that you want to help illegals, guess what? Put out your address publicly. Let them come stay with you. You can feed them. You can clothe them. You can house them. They can stay with you as long as you want to. You pay that bill. But I doubt any of you who are supporting, feeding the illegals have the balls or the strength of your conviction to put your address out there and invite them to come stay with you. You want everybody else to pay for your virtue. You want everybody else to fund your utopia. You don't want to do it. So shut up. Go with the people that are worried about the thumbs up. You all hang out and come up with an emoji that doesn't offend people that could feed the illegal homeless people. People are disgusting. You people will step over a veteran laying on the street in a pool of his own urine, sleeping under a dumpster, so you can scream and yell at people for not wanting to feed illegal immigrants. You disgust me. You are the scum of the earth. Step over your own countrymen to feed somebody in our country illegally because it's more important to help them than your own people. You people are a joke, and you are the perfect argument, unfortunately, for pro-choice. Now we go to New York where Mondani, the anti-Semite who won't even condemn October 7th, won't acknowledge Israel as a state, wants to give everything away for free. Once again, it's free because he's not paying for it. The taxpayers in New York City will be paying for the free grocery stores he wants to run, the free mass transit, the free health care. Oh, and he also wants to tax people who make over, $150,000, like 80% of what they make he wants to tax them for. Thank God people are waking up and he's starting to lose ground. Andrew Cuomo, whom is another schmuck, and what's his name? Curtis Silva, the guy who started the Guardian Angels, are closing the gap. That is awesome. I hope he loses Zohran Mamdani, who's also lied about having an aunt who was afraid to travel in New York after 9/11 because she was Muslim. He has no aunt that lives in New York, never has, but he lied because stupid people will believe him because they don't look past their own nose when it comes to that kind of information. They just take it, he must have said it, so it must be true. Lied about having an aunt and all that, and people are still out there. What's even worse in New York are the Jews are lining up to support this guy who has said nothing about October 7th, won't condemn it. And if you don't condemn something, that means you support it. Hasn't once said that Israel has a right to exist, but Jews are lining up to support this guy. You get what you deserve. If he wins, you get exactly what you deserve. He's going to ruin that city. He's going to defund. He's already said he wants to defund the police. I mean, he's a communist. He's not even trying to deny it. He's a communist who hates Jews in the city with the most Jews in the nation. And you figured he'd have no chance at winning. But there's an ass for every seat. And like I said, people don't educate themselves on candidates. They listen to the news, which is also so full of shit. You can't get the honest from any news. I don't care who it is, from Fox to CNN. You're not going to get the truth from any of them. But they find the news channel they like, and whatever they say is gospel. So if they listen to CNN and they say, well, Mondami's a great guy. Okay, he's a great guy. I'm going to vote for him. And that's all they need to know. They don't go any further than that. They don't look into the fact that he's not an American-born citizen. Nothing. They just like what he says. Man was an actor, so he knows exactly what to say to people and how to deliver a line to get people to buy into it. And he's done that. And there's a lot of people out there who bought his lines hook, line, and sinker. And they're going to vote for him. And when the New York turns into a toilet bowl, they're going to be like, well, man, what happened? How did all this happen? You did this. That's how it happened. You did this. You elected a communist who's told you what he's going to do as mayor of the city, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do and tore the city up, and now it's a shithole. Nobody wants to be there. That's how it happened, because you were too stupid to take 10 minutes to find out more about the man you were going to vote for, and you got it. He didn't lie to you. He told you exactly what he was going to do, and you voted for him anyway. I mean, New York is a decent city. I have family that lives there, so I have no problem with New York, but I'm telling you, if they vote this guy in, it's going to be another Detroit. This is going to be a hellhole. Falling apart, crime-ridden, but at least you'll be able to ride the bus for free. So you can ride from crime scene to crime scene and see what's going on. And you can go to the free grocery stores that are not going to have anything in them because everyone's going to leave New York. They're not going to have anybody to tax. If they have nobody to tax, they have nothing to buy the food with for the free grocery store. And they're going to be empty. So, yeah, it's going to be a real utopia. It'll be awesome. It'll end up looking like something out of a Mad Max movie. Guys running around on motorcycles with assless chaps and Liberty Spike hairdos shooting at people for gasoline and food. Kind of like Detroit. So that's happened in New York. So hopefully, I would rather see, what's his name, Como win, or even Silva win over Mondami. I mean, Como would probably be a little step up over Mondami, not much, because he's a raging Democrat too, who doesn't know what he's doing. And I think Silva's just, I don't know. What little bit I read about him, I think he's more of a hope and wish kind of guy. I don't think what he wants to do can be done. But again, anything is better than Mondami, the lying Muslim communist who wants to give the house away for free but make the rich people pay for it, because it's a sin to be rich, I guess. Who cares if you worked your ass off your entire life and now you're making good money? You're going to be condemned for it and have to pay for everybody else. If you're rich, you have to pay for this lady's groceries because she doesn't want to work. She wants food stamps for the rest of her life. So if you're rich, you're going to be buying her food. Doesn't matter if, there's people out there in the middle class who can barely make it, who buy their own food or barely able to buy their own food. Now we got to foot the bill for those that could but choose not to. Communist paradise. And it's self-inflicted. We are allowing it to happen by inaction. We're being bullied by people who live in their parents' basement and wear masks when they go out still. The same kind of people you see when they drive by in a car by themselves, have a mask on. Those are the people trying to dictate to us how we should live. And we're allowing it to happen. So I really can't blame them, because if you act like a doormat and someone treats you like a doormat, whose fault is it really? Yours or the person that treats you like the way you act? Everybody needs to wake up. Stop trying to be friendly. Stop trying to compromise. Stop trying to get along. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And you got to stand up for what's right. It's that simple. You can't expect your neighbor to do it for you. You can't expect the government to do it for you. You have to do it. You have to start that charge. or it's never going to happen because everybody else is going to be like you. They're going to be waiting for the person next door to do it or for the next person to do it or the next politician to do it. And it's just going to be a waiting game that will never end. So stop waiting. Get involved. And remember, all politics are local. You're affected more by local politics than you are by federal politics. So vote for your school board, vote for your commissioners, your mayors, your state senator, your state, all that. State and down is where it's at. Does federal government affect you? Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't. Excuse me. I'm saying you'll see a bigger effect in your paycheck from state policy than you will federal policy. I mean, look at Florida. They're going to eliminate, trying to eliminate real estate tax. That's awesome. Doesn't mean that that'll affect federal taxing in any way, but in the state of Florida, if they pass it, you will never pay property tax ever again. You'll pay it the first time you buy your house, and that's it. And that's how it should be. I mean, if you buy your house and you pay your property tax, it's yours. But if you pay it every year, you're just renting. You don't own that house. You never will own that house. Even if you pay your mortgage off, you will still pay property tax. So you're just renting. And that's not the way it should be. You pay your property tax once. When you buy your car, how many times are you going to pay your tax on the car? Every year? No, you pay it the first time you buy it, and that's it. So why is a house any different? Why should it be any different? If you buy clothes, if you buy anything, you pay taxes once. That's it. Not with a house. It's forever. And it shouldn't be. So I hope Florida passes it, and I hope other states take notice and they start doing the same thing. But I know that'll never happen in Maryland because our governor just raised taxes like $1 billion. And now he wants to fund SNAP and he wants to give people who have been laid off by the federal government money while they're out of work. Democrats and liberals are not very intelligent people. And the more they talk, the more I realize that. Like Westmore, Maryland, where's all this money coming from to fund all these people? I mean, obviously, we don't have the money. We had to raise taxes up to pay for stuff. Now he wants to spend more money that he doesn't have and then tax us even more because he's an idiot. And the people that support liberals and Democrats aren't very intelligent because they live in a world that doesn't exist. Government makes nothing. Government has no money. They have our money. So if they're talking about spending things or paying for people's food stamps or whatever, they aren't paying it. We are. And if they run out of money, they just tax us more to make more money to give it away. It's just never ending. It's never ending. And the problem is liberals think it makes them a better person when they spend other people's money. And that's I think it was Margaret Thatcher said the only problem with socialism is when you run out of other people's money, what do you do then? Everybody wants to spend money to help people, but as long as it's not their money. Like all these morons that want to make sure people have their SNAP benefits. Give out your address. Let these people come stay with you until the SNAP benefits kick in again. You can feed them. You can clothe them. You can house them. You do it if it's that important to you. But they won't because they don't want to spend their money. They don't want to lose their time doing it. They want to use yours. And that's how you shut up a liberal in an argument. They start talking about, well, it's our responsibility to feed people. You go, okay, what's your address? We'll send some over to your house. They can stay with you for the next month or two. You can take care of them. Watch them shut the hell up. Well, it's the government's responsibility. No, it's not. Where in the Constitution does it say the government is responsible for feeding you? I'm not sure if it said. I'm pretty sure when I looked at it, I've never seen that. Maybe I missed the part where it says, hey, we're going to fund your life. Yeah, people are just lazy. Just lazy people. I don't want to do nothing. I want people to, take care of me. Whatever. I don't know if you've been paying attention. I know you've been watching about Israel and, the genocide that's going on there, which is nonsense. But it's fashionable now to hate Jews and hate Israel because the media does it. You got talking heads that do podcasts that run their mouth about the great evil that's Israel, all sorts of things. And if you close your eyes and listen to what those people are talking about now, and you play Hitler's speech or Nazi speeches in the background from the 30s and 40s, it's almost the same thing. Very different. It's not very different. You won't be able to tell the difference between Hitler screaming and the talking heads on podcasts and TV screaming about the same things. It's just as frightening then as it is now. But what they haven't been talking about, which I think is very important, and it's worse, it's an actual genocide that's happening, is in Africa. You got Darfur, Nigeria, where Muslims are killing Christians wholesale. Earlier this year, I think they killed, the Muslims beheaded 80 Christians in a church and left their bodies and heads in the church just because they were Christian. The media is not reporting on that, and I can tell you why they're not talking about that. It's because it puts Muslims as they are, a violent religion. You don't hear about Christians going to behead people. You don't hear about Jews beheading people. You don't hear about Buddhists beheading people. You don't hear about the Amish people running across the street to kill Mennonites or anything like that. All you ever hear about is Muslims beheading people, cutting people's hands off, throwing homosexuals off the top of buildings, not allowing other religions to be practiced in their country. If you go to Israel, you know how many mosques there are in Israel? Like 1,000. How many synagogues are there in Gaza? 0. Islam is not about assimilation. Islam is about taking over. It's about domination. And it's no more prevalent than it is in Africa, where they're just killing Christians. And this has been going on for decades. This is not new. They've been persecuting Christians in Africa for decades. The world's known about it and said nothing. The only thing the world's been upset about is the blood diamonds, which is, again, a worthy thing to cause. You don't want people buying stuff from countries where they force children to dig up diamonds and, do horrible things to people like that. No, I agree with that. But it's just as horrible, if not more horrible, that these same countries, rather than, be upset with the Muslims beheading people, diamonds are more important. Where they're getting the diamonds is more important. We need to be worried about that. Who cares about the fact that they use rape as a weapon in Africa against Christian women? Who cares about that? Who cares if they behead children because they're Christian? That doesn't matter. I'm more worried about where my diamonds come from. That's what bothers me. I don't understand how people come to the conclusions they come to when it comes to this. They're using rape as a weapon, like they did when Gaza or when Hamas on October 7th went to Israel. They raped women and killed them. Nobody says anything about that because it was happening to Jews, and nobody cares. They're not saying it now in Africa because it's Muslims doing it to other people, and it's okay when Muslims do something bad. It's written off. It's explained away. And if you come out against it, you're Islamophobic. You're just a bigot or a racist against Islam. No, I'm a bigot or racist against animals. I'm a bigot and racist against subhumans. I'm a bigot and racist against trash. And when that is used as a weapon of war, that makes you trash. That makes you less than trash. When you kill children, that makes you trash. When you, was it in Israel, they strangled babies to death, Hamas did? That makes you trash. When you're in Africa and you're cutting people's heads off and raping them and killing them just because they don't worship the same God you do, and you can't get along with it because you just can't abide by that because they're an infidel, that makes you trash. Everywhere Islam goes, murder and mayhem follow. Everywhere. They kill themselves in their own countries. They go to other countries and start killing people there. They are animals. And I don't want to hear anymore about, there's 300 million Muslims in the world, and only like 5 to 10% are radicalized. That's 30 million people. That's 30 million people running around wanting to kill you because you don't worship Allah or you don't believe in Sharia law. They want to kill you. Look what's happening in, I think it was Norway? No, Sweden. They have zones where they have Muslim men walking around attacking Swedish women because they're not dressed properly. And the government does nothing about it. Look at Dearborn, Michigan in America. They have Sharia courts. Nobody does anything about it. They enforce Sharia law. Nobody does anything about it. You go to Africa, Muslims are murdering people, and nobody does anything about it because they don't want to be that person. They don't want to be an Islamophobic. Screw it. These people are killing us. We need to kill them back. It's that simple because they are not going to stop. Not once in history have they ever stopped. They're pushed out, like in the Crusades, they're beaten down and killed, or like in Africa, they continue killing people. They don't stop. They're animals. They are animals. If you don't believe me, read a little history. I'm just tired of it. Muslims being excused for all the horrors they do. But if somebody does something back to them, they're the bad guy. October 7th, they invade Israel, kill 1,300 people, rape murder and kill children. Israel bombs them back. Israel's the bad guy. You have Africa where they're beheading people. I think there's been like 50,000 Christians killed over the course of I think since 2022 or 2021. They've, for no other reason other than being Christian. And nobody says anything. There's no one coming to their aid. I mean, this is the people burying the beheaded Christians they found. And not a word from the media because they don't want to come out against Islam. They don't want to come out against Muslims because that makes them bad. If it's okay that Christians are dying, it's fine. But we're not going to condemn the Muslims for that. It's okay that they raped Israeli women, drug people out of their cars in the streets and shot them in the head. That's fine. But as soon as Israel fights back, Israel's the bad guy. You've got idiots in Hollywood defending Hamas. I'm not going to work with anybody from Israel or any Israeli film studio because they're committing genocide. Not once have any of these schmucks said anything about the rape and murder Hamas has committed. Not have any of these people talked about the beheading of Christians in Africa. Not once have any of these idiots talked about the hostages that were taken from Israel and still have not been returned home. None of these people talk about that because they don't want to be mean to Islam. And again, nobody says anything about it. And I know some Muslims. And the Muslims I know, as far as I know, are good people. But there's also that thing called takira or something, I can't even pronounce it, where they're allowed to lie to non-believers to get close to them. Now, do I think the people I know that are Muslim are like that? No, I don't. But we're talking about a vast majority of Muslims are killing folks. And the ones that don't kill folks don't condemn the killing. They don't come out and go, that's not right. That's not what my religion's about. We need to stop this. You need to stop it. Because if they do, they're going to get killed by the same people. It's like a snake eating its own tail. You can't stop it. Oh, I mean, you can stop it. You cut the head off the snake. That's how you do it. And before I start getting crazy emails or nasty text messages, I'm not condoning violence. I'm not saying go out and kill people. What I'm saying is stop being pushed around. If you see something that's wrong, you got to call it out as wrong. And don't stop calling out as wrong because people tell you that you're wrong. Cutting off people's heads is wrong. I don't care what they've done to you. Never have I ever said, oh, wait, the guy did what? Yeah, cut his head off. That makes sense to me. That seems like a logical response. Go ahead and do that. Never. It's not right. Or raping people. That seems reasonable. They offended you. They don't worship your God. Rape seems good to me. No. You condemn that, and you don't stop condemning it until they stop or they're brought to justice. Don't depend on the media. The media doesn't care. As long as it's not happening to Muslims, they don't care. The second it happens to Muslims, then it's all over the news. Like, how many times have you heard about Christians being beheaded in Africa? I didn't hear about it until I started looking into it today. I mean, it's out there, but it's not out there. They don't make sure people know about it. And that's what's sad. There are children and women and men and older people in Africa being murdered for no other reason than they worship the cross of Jesus Christ and not Allah. That is the only reason. And the media's hush. Trump finally spoke up about this. I got my notes handy. Let me find my notes here about that. He said things have got to change. Starved and abused civilians have recounted harrowing stories after fleeing the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, that's RSF, that's what they call themselves, in Western Sudan's Darfur, while thousands still remain missing. They're not missing, they're dead. The Muslims killed them. The capital of North Darfur State was the last Sudanese army stronghold in the vast region before falling to the RSF after 18 months of siege. Since then, the United Nations and international aid agencies have raised the alarm over the fate of civilians as accounts of mass killings, rapes, and other abuses continue to emerge. No coverage by the news, though, because it's okay. I'm trying to find out where I have the thing about Trump, because he pretty much spoke up and said this stuff. He said, if it doesn't end soon, we're going to end it. We're going to go over there and stop the killing. And that's what needs to be done. But why does it take so long? Why is it taking decades for someone to finally say, hey, look, this stuff's enough. This has got to end. This should have been done decades ago. Here are some stats. Why is our support so vital to those in Africa? 6.2 million Christians are displaced and face violent prosecution. 13 of 20 countries in the most dangerous countries to follow Jesus are in the sub-African or sub-Saharan African. So if you're a Christian and you live in that region, your life is over. They're going to kill you. And violence is at an all-time high in that region. Again, Muslims expect to let you into your country and practice their religion with no restrictions. However they want to do it, you just need to accept it and shut up. I can't remember what city it is now. They have the call to prayer at like 4 a.m. And they're not going to stop, they said. That's our religious right. We're going to do it. So people are listening to the call to prayer at 4 a.m. every day. But if you go to their country, you are not allowed to practice your religion. Not going to happen. If you're Jewish, too bad. Christian, too bad. And then you have to follow their religion or they'll kill you or put you in jail. That's who we're dealing with. Those are the media's darlings. Those are the ones the media loves, the Islamists. The desert rats, as I like to call them. Who got no problem killing folks that don't follow their religion. Now, I'm not saying all religions are great. You go back in history far enough, every religion's committed atrocities. That's in the past. That's centuries ago. I'm talking about here and now, today, tomorrow, and probably on for the next couple of years. Islam is just wholesale killing people, doing what they want with no accountability. And it's got to stop. If you don't think Islam is bad, look at England and France, go back 10 years and look at how they were. And then look at them today and compare the two. They are turning to third world countries. They're being overrun. They're having their politics dictated to. I read somewhere that in England, more Indians own property than English people do now. Something needs to be done. Protect your country. I'm not saying they can come, but they need to assimilate. That's that simple. They need to assimilate. They need to be forced to assimilate, or they need to be removed from your country and sent back to theirs. America's called a melting pot, and every country should follow in suit with that. It's a melting pot, which means everything blends together and becomes one. It melts and becomes one thing. If not, it's like a tossed salad. Yeah, we're all in the same bowl, but we're all still separate. We're different. We're not together. And that you can't survive like that. No country can survive like that. And there's nothing wrong with protecting your country's national identity. Or you turn into England, you turn into France, you turn into like Sweden, Dearborn, Michigan. That will happen. That will become widespread unless we stand up and go, look, you're welcome here, but you're going to follow our rules. You're going to assimilate into our culture. And if you can't do that, you need to leave. And if you need to leave, we're not asking you. We are telling you, you need to get out. And if you need help getting out, we will be more than glad to kick you in the ass and pack your bags and put you on the first plane back to the third world shithole you came from. It's that simple. People are complaining about, wanting to get in this country. We need to, streamline the process. No, we don't. Does it need to be tweaked to make it more user-friendly? Yes, but it still should be extremely difficult to become a citizen in this country. It should be extremely expensive, and it should be background checks should be done, deep background checks. And it should take years. This shouldn't happen overnight. It's that simple. That weeds out these people. If you come here illegally, we should be doing what we're doing, kicking you out immediately. As soon as we find you, we get rid of you. Or what's happening in these other countries is going to start to widespread happen here. And it's already happening here. Look at all the protests for pro-Palestine. These people screaming and yelling, death to America, from the river to the sea, things like that. Those people are dangerous. And yes, it's their First Amendment right. And yes, I support people exercising their rights, but it does not alleviate you from the repercussions of what you say. You are still accountable for what you say. And if you come into an American city and go on the American street, you're talking about death to America. While yes, it's your right to say that, you're probably going to get your ass kicked, and you deserve it. It's that simple. And if we don't start fighting for what's right, Africa's going to get worse. It's going to get worse in Israel. It's going to get worse in France. It's going to get worse in England. It will never get better. It will only get worse until we stand up and say, look, Islam is not a religion. Islam is a blueprint for a form of government and a form of domination. It's not about inclusiveness. It's not about helping. It's not about choice. It's about submission and death. And we need to treat it that way. Or we're all going to wake up one day to a call to prayer at 4 a.m. and be forced to get on some carpet and face to the west or the east, to Mecca 5 times a day.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Excuse me. So yeah, that's podcast line. We've got Damon the Hammer Galdo has his show a couple days a week. We have Alexandra Levine has her show podcast a couple days a week. She's also the White House correspondent, so she gets to go to D.C. and do all this cool stuff at the White House. And you have me on Sundays, and then every Wednesday at 8, we all get together and do the Pulse, where we talk about everything, not just one thing. It's a pretty good show. I don't know if you've all seen it before, but it's Wednesdays at 8. And it runs about an hour and a half. So usually it's over about 9:15, 9:30. But it's a good time. And then this Tuesday, I'll be with Damon the Hammer in not Pennsylvania. Why did I say Pennsylvania? In New Jersey for the election night coverage in that state. So we'll be doing a show. I'll be on his I guess that's his normal show. So I'll be on his show that night, starting at I should be there probably about 6:30, and then I'll run until he decides to call it a night, and then I'll be done. That's in Blackwood, Pennsylvania. Why do I keep saying Pennsylvania? Blackwood, New Jersey. And at the end of the show, we'll put up the flyer for it so you can get more information for it. But it's in New Jersey, not Pennsylvania, and it's Tuesday in New Jersey, Blackwood, New Jersey. It starts at 6, and I guess it runs till. And I talked to Damon Sherrod. I think he told me last call there is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So it'll probably run till about then. So if you're in that area, well, I don't even want to hear that because I'm not in that area and I'm going to be there. So if you've got nothing to do Tuesday night, swing by for a little while, say hey, get to meet Damon, and you get to meet me, and you get to meet some other candidates who are running, and then find out who wins and what's going to happen. So yeah, it starts at 6, whether I'm there or not. It starts at 6. Damon the Hammer will be there. Damon Sherrod will be there. I saw the setup that they're going to use. It's pretty big. And I thought the picture he sent me, the setup was what he set up already, there, but it's not. I guess he was just dry run to make sure what he had. So he has to take it all down and then put it all back up Tuesday night. I feel sorry for the guy. If I could be there earlier, I would be there to help him and set everything up because I'm sure it's going to be a pain and take a long time. And I'd be more than glad to try to get there earlier and help set up. I think I would cause more problems than I would help because I'm not like a tech savvy type of person. I mean, just to set up the camera I have here, I had to read the instructions. It sucks getting old. When I was younger, I could just plug stuff in and just knew, hey, this will work this way, this way. Now I plug something in and sparks fly out and smokes. Then I'm out there buying a whole new thing and I get upset. So yeah, I read direct instructions now, which I probably should have done all along. But yeah, it's going to be a really great show that night. It's going to be, unlike this one, it's going to be very professional, very organized, very together. it'll be impressive. And I'm just glad I could be up there. I'm glad Damon asked if I wanted to be there, so that's cool. So yeah, there's Damon, the Hammer, Galdo, Alexandra, and then again, the man behind the scenes that I can see, but you can't. Is Damon Sherrod, who is he's the tech savvy guy. He keeps everything running for me. If I start to go crazy or cameras go nuts, he's sending me messages like, hey, do this, and I do that or this, and it usually works. So it's a good thing he's here. And I'm trying to, divided by algorithms, has sent a chat out. Let me put this up here so everybody can see this. If conservative legislation works so well, why are the top 7 poorest states in the 7 poorest states red? Then he says, seriously, I can't figure this one out. And I was talking, so I couldn't get involved with it. So you only interact with information that resonates with what you already believe. And then he says, that's suspect. What if my grandfather had tits? He'd have been my grandmother. I don't know what you want me to say. I've never once said that conservative legislation is the best legislation in the world and every state should have it. I've always said that conservatism and liberalism are 2 different sides of the same coin. I don't know what you want me to say, that, oh my God, you're right, conservative legislation isn't 100% the best. I agree, it's not. I don't know what to tell you. You're right? Is that what you want to hear me say? If they're the 7 poorest states, how many other states, what other poor states are there? Are there other poor states, Democrat? We're not going to talk about that. The richest states, are the richest states liberal, Democratic? What are they? I mean, you throw out this cherry-picked fact. 7 of the poor states are red. Okay. I've never once claimed that the end-all, be-all is conservatism. Never once said that. Never said that the promised land will come from Republicans. I've never said that. I don't know what your point would be. I've preached, and I will preach until the day I die. You want things to change, it starts in your community. You have to do it. You have to get out there and help your community. Government should not be involved in that. It should be neighbors helping neighbors. It's the only way things change. The reason there are, Republicans and Democrats in D.C. is because they've said there's a problem. They had the problem A. I can fix problem A if you elect me. People elect them. 4 years later, I've almost got problem A fixed. I just need 4 more years, and I'm going to get it fixed then. I promise, reelect me. People reelect them. 4 years later, I've almost got it. I'm this close to solving the problem. You just got to reelect me another 4 years, another 7 years, however long they need to be reelected, and I'm gonna fix it this time. I promise. So I don't know what to tell you. They're divided by algorithms. There's no perfect form of of legislation. There's no side, no party that's perfection. But I will never, ever, ever, ever choose anything over conservatism or Republican, because their track record is far better than liberalism, socialism, fascism, communism, whatever other ism you have. Those always end in death and destruction. It's that simple. So thank you for your input. You have a good day, and throw some more cherry pick stuff at me if you want. I don't care. I don't. So yeah, I will talk to anybody. Like I told him, I responded to him, no, I'm just in the middle of a podcast. I'll get to you when I can. Like I've said before, if you chat, that's great. I will get to you as soon as I can. And if I don't, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just involved in something else. So I got to him as soon as I can. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat or conservative or liberal or whatever. If you post something and I can get to it, I'll get to it. I mean, it's really that simple. I'm not going to ignore you just because I think you're an idiot and are talking out your ass. I will respond to you as best I can. And I'm not going to lie to you. So make sure before you ask a question, you want my true and honest opinion or answer before you ask, because I'm going to give it to you. So also in the news, which I thought was pretty important, Trump administration has continued their attacks on drug running boats and sinking, or the U.S. Navy has. Go Navy. And I've said, and I'll say it again, if there's proof that these are drug runners trying to smuggle in fentanyl and cocaine and heroin or whatever other drugs they're running into the U.S., I have no problem with killing them. None at all, because they're killing us. We're just killing them first. I have no problem with it. But if it comes out that these people were what they're being called fishermen, every picture I've seen of the boats they've shown, I've not seen one rod sticking in the water, one net or anything. They're usually speedboats with 15 or 20 barrels in them full of drugs. But people are claiming they're fishermen, and we're picking on fishermen. If it's proven they are, then there needs to be accountability. People need to go to jail. Willing to bet there's not one fisherman they've killed. Because if there had been fishermen, why are the families not out screaming and yelling? My husband was just, fishing. He was going out for tuna, and you sunk him. Nobody's come forward to say that about the people that have been killed. Nothing. I'm like 99.9% sure that they've hit drug runners. Because let's be honest, they're not. The Navy's just not sitting off the coast going, "Oh, here comes a boat, sink it." I'm sure they've got people on the ground that are watching these places and go, "Look, here comes a boat. It looks like this. It's headed this way. It's got drugs." They're not just guessing. Or they've got satellites positioned over that area to watch what's going on. They're not guessing. They're not just shooting at random boats, hoping that they don't shit the bed and hit a fisher boat. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. They're not going to put themselves in a position like that. So, like I said, I'm never 100% sure about anything. But I'm like 99% sure that they're hitting drug runners, drug smugglers. So sure, in fact, that they haven't seen a boat, and I think they say a couple of weeks now. They can't find anymore. The strikes on the narco ships are so successful they can't find any more ships carrying drugs. So if they were just randomly shooting boats, they'd still be sinking them. But now they're not because they can't find any. So that should tell you something. Once again, they're not just randomly shooting at boats. And I can't believe the people that are running out going, "Oh, we can't do that. It's not right. That's murder. We need to stop." Well, what about the drugs they give to people that kill people? Is that not murder? Why is it everybody in this country so goddamn concerned with criminals and their rights and what we should do to help them and have no problem with their victims? Doesn't matter. That fentanyl kills hundreds of thousands of people a year. And that ruins people's lives, ruins families. No, screw that. The drug runners have rights. The smugglers have rights. We need to, uphold their rights. No, we don't. They're in international water. They could be put down. If you can prove that what they're doing is illegal, they could be put down. And so far, no one has come out to prove that what they're doing is legal. No one's come out and said these people are innocent fishermen. Let me look at this boat. This is a boat they saw. Do you see one net? Do you see one fishing rod? Do you see anything on deck that would make you believe, that's a boat full of fishermen? I see bales, I see boxes, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 men on a speedboat. Not one rod, not one hook, not one bait, not one beer. Anywhere. But they want to tell us that these people are fishermen. They're just going out fishing. Do you believe that for 1 second? I mean, that's what the media does in this country. They defend the rights of criminals. Fishing. They're fishing for cocaine, and they got it. They're going to bring it to the country and kill our people with it because they know there's bleeding heart liberals over here that will defend them till they die. Standing on the bodies of people who've been killed by drug overdoses so they can condemn us for wanting to stop that. They get due process. Where? They're in international water. Can't arrest them. So what we're supposed to do, just let them get here? I'm so tired of people and their magical thinking. This is the real world. There are people out there that want to do us harm. And maybe not, like drug dealers don't want to do us harm. They don't care who they harm. They just want to make money. And it doesn't matter who it hurts or who it kills. They don't care. They want to make money. And they're going to continue to do that until it becomes more expensive to supply than the demand. And how do you make it more expensive to supply it? You do this. You sink their boats. You kill their people. You make it so difficult that they're going to get to the point where, like, look, we can't afford to do this anymore. And how do you do that? The country that they're in, Venezuela, Colombia, the other countries, they have to feel the pressure. They need to feel a little pinch. Like, hey, you all need to start doing something about this. We're tired of it. We can't do this alone. You need to step up and start policing your own country. It's not like you don't know who the cartels are. They're the ones with the big houses in the mountains with all the people with guns around them. Those are the bad guys. You need to do something about that. We're tired of being the world's police force. We're tired of the ones that got to enforce the law because everybody else doesn't want to do it. I mean, can you imagine what this world would be like if America put up a wall on the east and west coast across Canada and shut everybody out? Like, hey, we're done. We're not going to interfere with anything that happens in the world anymore. We're recalling all our troops from overseas. We're closing down all our bases, all that. We're recalling all American citizens back to our country, and we are done. For the next 10 years, we are no longer going to interfere in the affairs of the world. Good luck. I guarantee you within 6 months, they'd be begging us to come back. Seriously. Not even 6 months. 3 months. They'd want to, oh, no, we need you. You need to come back and do this. We need help here. We need help there. What other country in the world taxes their citizens to send their money to us? Name one. I'll wait a minute. You can put it in the chat. Name the country that taxes their people to send their money to us. I'll wait. I'll give you a minute. I'm going to do something to drink. Go ahead. I'll wait. That's right. No other country in the world taxes their citizens to take the money they got from them to send to us. No other country does that. We're the only country that does that. Why? And I understand we are not a perfect country. I've never once claimed this country to be perfect. We are the closest to perfection that this world has seen. You can come to this country dirt poor and become a millionaire. The poorest people in our country live better than some of the middle class in other countries. People aren't trying to break into China. They're not trying to illegally gain entry into Iran or Saudi Arabia. They're trying to get here. The whole world is trying to get here. Now, why is that? Is it because what the liberals say, we're a horrible country and we're nasty, we're racist, and we hate everybody? If that were the case, nobody would want to be here. You figure people would be trying to get out. But that's not the case. They're trying to get in. So we're doing something right. And I think protecting ourselves against drug dealers, drug runners, and all that can only help our argument. We're protecting our people. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I cannot believe that that's something people are fighting. That's what the liberals are fighting for. To defend the rights of drug smugglers and cartels and terrorists. To defend the rights of people getting to this country illegally, knowing that millions of other people did it right, waited their turn, jumped through the hoops, paid their money, filled out all the forms, came to this country the right way. They don't care about them. It's the criminal element. And make no mistake about it, if you come in this country, you're a criminal. If you do it illegally, you are a criminal. That's why it's called illegal immigration. There's no country in the world that I can think of, and again, if I'm wrong, put it in the chat, where you can just come into their country willy-nilly and stay, and then expect to be supported with government programs. I can't think of one country that does that. I've been to countries, when I went to Austria a while ago, decade ago, I'd say, more than a decade ago, when you overstay your visa, they come get you. They don't even wait for you to leave. They come find you. Hey, look, it's time for you to go. Yeah, okay, great, that's fine. Pack your shit, time to go. We got a plane for you. Most countries aren't as nice about it as we are. You don't get to go to jail and get fed and held. They put your ass on a plane that day. You don't even get to tell your family. You're gone. Bye. And that's how it is in the real world. But liberals don't see it that way. And here's another moron. UN Human Rights Chief says U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats are unacceptable. Dealing drugs isn't, apparently, but stopping them is unacceptable. We should let them come into the country or any country and sell poison to people, to children, and let them kill them. That's fine. But if you strike at them, that's unacceptable. Notice he didn't say illegal. And if it were illegal, trust me, the UN, which is the biggest joke on the face of the planet, would have said alleged strikes on boats are illegal. Didn't say illegal. It said unacceptable. Who cares what those people think? They're the ones supporting Hamas. I don't give a shit what the UN thinks. I really don't. They lost their credibility after the end of the war, World War II. They haven't been needed since the wall fell. We don't need them anymore. They just want to impose their will on other countries. I think we fund the vast majority of it. We should cut funding to the UN, kick them out of the country. Let them go put the UN building in Iraq or Iran. Or heck, let them put that building in Palestine. Let them deal with Hamas for a while, the ones they're defending. Let them do that. They won't. And if we tried to kick him out of this country, they would fight it. That's what's so funny about this. These people will bitch and moan and piss and cry about how bad America is and how racist and unfair we are. But the second you try to make them leave, they will fight you. They will fight you tooth and nail to stay. That's what's funny. And then apparently Madrone, I think he's the president of Venezuela, this week, his military shot down 3 suspected drug planes trying to leave. I think they were leaving their or entering their airspace, leaving their airspace. They shot them down. Maybe he's starting to catch on. Maybe there is some hope for that country. Maybe their president grew a set of balls and figured, hey, yeah, drugs are bad. We shouldn't be, our major export shouldn't be cocaine or fentanyl. We need to stop this. Maybe we need to start backing up America and what they're doing. They're sinking boats. We should start shooting down planes that carry drugs. These people will not be missed. They're drug dealers. They're drug smugglers. Nobody except other drug dealers and other drug smugglers are going to miss them. They're like one step above a leech on the evolutionary scale. They sell poison to other people knowing it's going to kill them and don't care because they're making money. No one's going to miss them. The world will be a better place without them. Just like I talk about Hamas. They're a terrorist organization. The world will be much better without them. They will not be missed. Unless you're a liberal, then you'll cry and whine. It'll keep you up at night. Oh my God, they killed the terrorists. That's so not right. They're just misunderstood people. It's white privilege that got them killed, nothing else. Africa would be a better place. I mean, the world would be such a better place if people just stood up and said, enough's enough. This is going to end. Because there are more good people than there are bad people in this world. I believe that 100%. I have never thought differently. I think there are more good people than bad people. And if the good people stand up against the bad people will back down because they're not used to being stood up against. Cartels are not used to countries fighting back with anything other than words, like the war on drugs, whatever that means. We're going to arrest you and put you in American prison, which is 20 times better than the house you have in your country. We're going to educate you and feed you, guaranteed, while it's not guaranteed in your country. It's a win-win for them. You know what's not a win-win for them? Having a drone fly into it like 800 miles an hour and exploding and killing you because you have drugs in your boat trying to bring them into our country. That's a lose-lose. That's the only thing you can do. Sometimes violence is the answer. World War II, violence was the answer. Dealing with drug runners and drug smugglers, violence is the answer. They don't listen to reason. You can't compromise with them. They are monsters that deal poison and do it for money. And if you can't cut the money off, you got to sink their ships. And that's what we're doing. And finally, Venezuela's picking like, hey, maybe we should start shooting down their planes. Something's got to change. And yes, I understand America has a huge appetite for illegal drugs. And until we can somehow stop or, curb that, it's not going to change very much. But this is a start. This is a start. I mean, if it saves 5 people, it was worth it. I mean, there's no other thing I can think of that will work. Putting addicts in prison is stupid because you're not addressing the problem. You're just kind of hiding it. But yeah, Venezuela shot down 3 planes. They're suspected of running drugs this week. America's Navy, go Navy, has kind of locked down the ocean out there to keep as many drug runners as they can from coming out. Apparently it's working because they can't find anymore. They're not coming out. So it's working. And if people out there going, well, they need due process or that's not right, they're just, fishermen, then I advise you to fly to Venezuela, find these fishermen and offer your services to help them. Tell them you'll run a boat for them or you'll go out with them to prove that they're just fishermen. or tell the cartel you'd like to donate some money so they can get a lawyer to help fight. Once again, it's like the liberals that are complaining about food stamps. That's not fair. By all means, you are more than welcome to put your address out there, have some of these people come live with you, and you can feed them and clothe them and house them until the government opens up again. But they're not going to do that. Like, they're not going to go down to Venezuela and offer to help the drug runners. They're not going to do that because it's easy to sit in your parents' basement eating Hot Pockets and pudding cups and running your mouth about how, morally superior you are to everybody else because you think drug runners have rights and the government should be feeding everybody. But when push comes to shove, you're not going to get off your fat ass and help. You're just going to sit there and talk about what the government needs to do, what I need to do with my money, how I should spend my money. But you're not going to, stand up and put your money where your mouth is. You're not going to have these people come into your house and you're not going to feed them. You're not going to go to a food bank and work because you want the government to do it. You want my tax dollars to do that. Just like you're not going to go to Venezuela and defend these poor fishermen who the Navy, U.S. Navy is just picking on because they're bored and have nothing else to do. Or the poor cartels. They're not going to do it. They're just going to sit at home and run their mouths and try to impress the girl with the purple hair and the 47,000 nose rings and earrings in her head so they can procreate and create other little liberals that'll destroy what's left of the country if we're not careful in the next 10 years. It's like a bad B horror movie.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
So that's Alexandra Levine again. She's our White House correspondent. She goes to D.C. to the White House, covers some press conferences and gets involved with all that down there, and then reports it on her show, Alexandra Levine All In, which is a good show. Like I said, she's got a lot of inside information she shares, which is cool. I like it. Then we got Damon the Hammer, who's got his shows, and he's also got a radio show that I think he's taking like a hiatus from and let some of the candidates take it over while they're running to help get their word out, which is pretty cool. I think Damon himself is going to run for Congress next election cycle in Jersey, which is 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years. I can't remember, but he's going to run again. And I'm sure he'll talk more about that. And then next election. So he'll be in that one. Damon Sherrod, the man behind the throne, corrected me. That's what he's there for. Really, his full-time job is to make sure I don't step in a big steamy pile of it. And trust me, that's a full-time job. He's got to constantly make sure I'm not putting my foot in my mouth and then taking it out and putting the other foot in my mouth. So kudos to him. I owe him probably 95 beers when I see him Tuesday, or like a huge ass, like Morton steak, like a $90 steak at the very least, something for all the crap I put him through. So yeah, you got that, Damon the Hammer. And I call him Damon the Hammer because he's from South Jersey. I was a big Sopranos fan. We were on a show one day doing a show together, and I don't know how it came up. I just called him the Hammer, and it kind of stuck. I don't think I'm almost 100% sure he's not offended by it. I'm sure there's people out there going, "Well, you just stereotyping Italian Americans. You should be ashamed of yourself." I don't care. If he's not offended, that's fine with me. And if you're offended, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I think it's funny. He thinks it's funny. That's all that matters. And then you've got me. Yeah, I know. It's like you've gone from the A team, then you kind of skipped over the B team, and now you're hitting like the C team. I know, but it's good. And then I'm here Sundays from 7 to 8:30. Then you have me on Wednesdays with, again, everybody on the Pulse, and Evelina Barbera. Tim Fazenbaker, who's usually on. I think he might be coming back in the next couple of weeks to co-host the show. He's running for council in Baltimore County, Maryland. Again, he's a great guy. very intelligent, very approachable, easy, just a nice guy. I don't know why he wants to be in politics. I really, really don't. I think he's a good guy, good man, honest guy. But I hope he gets elected because that's what politics need, especially Baltimore. If you know anything about Maryland, Baltimore County is just a cesspool. There's nothing good you can say about it. It needs change, and I think if he gets elected, he'll start the change. And again, he can't do it by himself. He's one person. So vote for him and vote for the most conservative candidates you can find and get them in office. And also on local news, I live in Frederick County, Maryland. It's Western Maryland, if you're not familiar. Our Board of Education has now made it, if you want to speak at a Board of Education meeting, you need to show government-approved ID, and you need to live in the area of Frederick County you can't speak, which is a blatant violation of the First Amendment. And I hope they get sued back to the Stone Age. I really do. Frederick County Public Schools has been investigated by the Department of Justice for abuse of special needs students, which included over-seclusion and over-restraining. Brad Young and Teresa Albin were at the helm of the Board of Education when that happened, and they've never been held accountable, never been called to question, nothing. The abuse has not stopped. It's just not reported on anymore. Every once in a while it pops up in the news. And now to speak at one of their meetings, you need to show an ID. You need to live in the county. And I don't know how they're going to do it, but they can censor what you're saying and ask you to leave. You want to talk about fascism? That's fascism. You can say what we want you to say. You can't speak unless we want you to speak. And we need to know where you live before you speak. I don't know. I mean, I know why, because Frederick has more liberals. Well, I don't want to say more. They have louder liberals than they do conservatives, and the liberals usually win because the conservatives in Frederick County don't do much, and the Republican Party in Frederick County is a goddamn joke. They are weak, impotent, and useless, and that's why these things are allowed to go on in this county. The only clubs in Frederick County that I think are actually trying to affect some change would be the Republicans. The Women's Republican Club of Frederick County, and their president is Cindy Rose, out very vocal, trying to get things done, trying to help the people. And the Frederick County Conservative Club, which is the president is Fred Profiter. They just had a big Charlie Kirk memorial a couple of weeks ago. I would say at least 100, 200 people were there. Very good turnout for Frederick County. Those two people, Cindy and Fred, are really trying to prop up a dying Republican Party in Frederick County. They're doing a really good job. I gotta say that they've done more in the last 4 or 5 months that the Republican Club or the Central Committee in Frederick County have done in years. So you can look at the Frederick County Republican Club of Frederick, Women's Republican Club of Frederick County online. I don't know their website, but I'm sure it's not hard. I think they're the oldest women's Republican club in the country, I think, if I remember correctly. The Frederick County Conservative Club, you can find them at fccc.us, and you can find out all about their club and what they got upcoming and everything like that. And yes, I'm the vice president and treasurer of that club. So I'm a little biased about that club. But both clubs are really working hard. And they deserve support, and at the very least, they deserve recognition. So yeah, that's what's going on local. If you can, I would send a letter or an email to the Frederick County Board of Education, and just call them Nazis, call them communists, call them socialists for what they're doing. They don't want to be told what they're doing is wrong. They don't want to hear from parents that, hey, I don't want boys in the girls' bathroom, and I don't want boys playing on girls' sports teams. I don't want, if my child does something at school, I want to be told. I don't want it hidden from me like you're doing. They need to hear that they're wrong and that they're bad. And that's the Frederick County, Maryland Board of Education. Light up their emails with tell them, hey, parents are more important than you. Parents have final say in what their children learn and what goes on in school, not you. You are an elected official. You are a public servant. Be a goddamn servant. Get me a glass of water. Sit down and shut up. It's really that simple. Republicans need to be just as loud as Democrats are, or nothing will change. I keep saying that's the common denominator in all this. Unless we speak up, nothing will change. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's simple. And right now, the squeaky wheel is liberals. Yep. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So I wanted to bring her back up again. And I'm just her because that's the article I found. Not just her, but everybody involved with it. How am I going to feed my family? My food stamps have been cut off. Courts have ordered that the U.S. government fund food stamps. I think tomorrow is when it is officially cut off, and the government has been told by judges that they need to fund it. I don't know how they can fund it when there's no money. Again, we have judges that are making political policy from the bench rather than enforcing law, because that's what judges do now. It's not so much about the law. It's about getting your 90-pound head on TV and looking like you care because you want to be a top politician at some point. The Agriculture Department had warned that it would no longer pay for benefits, commonly known as food stamps, starting November 1st. So it was November 1st, I'm sorry, because Congress had failed to pass legislation to fund the government. The judge, in all his wisdom, however, told the administration it must distribute contingency funding for the program as soon as possible. There is no contingency funding. The government has been shut down. There's no money. I don't care if the government stays shut down. It's a hole. All it does is take money and fund things we don't need, like Doge. They've shown that I think it was like 17 million was sent to Africa to teach dance. What? 4 million was sent to I think Peru to teach lesbian theory. This was money, our tax money, being sent to other countries in the millions for pointless and stupid things. So cut them off. I don't want billions of dollars going to some country to study the senseless murder of earthworms. I don't want my money sent down to help children get sex changes. And then they wonder why there's no money, because we're spending it on stupid shit in other countries that we don't need to be involved in the first place. Again, name one country that taxes their people and sends us their money. Why do we have to fund everything? If you live in a country you want a sex change, pay for it yourself. If you want to learn how to dance, pay for it yourself. God damn, nobody cares until something like this happens and it's the government's bad. No, you're bad for letting the shit happen. You found out they're sending millions to Africa to teach people to dance and you didn't say anything about it. But now you're pissed off because people who don't want to work can't eat. And it's not that they can't eat. They're going to be taken care of. The community is going to take care of them. You just think the government needs to be involved in every facet of everybody's life all the time. The government can't even run the post office correctly. Why does any of this shock you? You been to the DMV lately? Really? And you think they should be in charge of everything in your life? You're crazy. God damn, you can't even get mail on time anymore. You can't even guarantee you're going to get it. And if you're has so much faith in the U.S. government and the way they run things, put $7,000 in an envelope, drop it off in the mailbox to have it mailed to somebody you know. If you have so much faith, just do that. Let me know that works out for you. So yeah, food stamps have been cut off November 1st. I thought it was Monday. And again, this is not a Republican issue. It's a Democrat issue because they won't reopen the government unless everybody agrees to give illegal immigrants free health care. So let it stay shut down for years because I don't want to pay for that. I got enough problem paying my own bills. I'm not going to help somebody who shouldn't be here in the first place pay theirs. That's ridiculous. And if you think that's good, like I said, give me your address. We'll post it. Let the illegal immigrants know they can come to your house and you will support them throughout this entire shutdown. Really, there's a chat right here. Just send out your address and we'll get it to the appropriate people and make sure there's 30, 40 illegal immigrants in your doorstep tomorrow that you can take care of. And that's not going to happen because it's not about helping. It's about looking good and feeling good about yourself. They're not going to step up and do anything. Bunch of idiots. So yeah. and like I've always said, and I hate having to repeat myself, I am not above helping somebody. From time to time, people need help. And that's understandable. Shit happens. You get sick, you get in a car accident, you lose your job. Something happens that's out of your control and you need a hand up. And that is fine. I am talking about the people who expect a hand out. that have no desire to better themselves in life, that are happy living on the government tit, that are happy leeching off taxpayers, and are proud of it. I mean, there's that lady on I can't remember where it was talking about Monday, people who are on EBT cards, they can't get their money, they're going to start robbing white people. They're going to start breaking into grocery stores and taking what they need, and they dare you to stop them. That's the kind of fool I'm talking about. I don't want to help them because they expect it. They demand help. I want to help the person that's like, look, I feel bad. I'm down on, I got some problems. Can you give me a hand? Can you help me out? No problem. Because that person, while you're helping them, will be trying to help themselves. They'll be looking for ways to get out of from under that rock or get back in the game. That's who I want to help. Because when they get out and they're back to where they should be, they'll help somebody else get back into it. The dregs of society will just continually come back to you with their hand out. Give me money, give me money, give me money. And no matter how much money you give them, it will never be enough. They will always want more. No matter how much money you put on their food stamp card, they're always going to want more. Give me more. And then they got upset, I think when Kennedy said food stamps can no longer be used to buy soda or candy or, snack cakes, whatever you want to call them, like Little Debbie's, has to be used for staples, like bread, milk, vegetables, meat, chicken, things like that. People lost their minds. They lost their mind. You can't tell me how to spend my money. It's not your goddamn money. It's not. It's my money. It's my neighbor's money. It's not your money. And if you don't like the way that we're telling you can spend it, stop getting food stamps. Get a goddamn job. Stop having 25 kids from 10, 15 different fathers. Assume some responsibility for your fucking life and be an adult and get in the game. I mean, I've seen videos on Facebook, women with their food stamps and men with their food stamps, they got a cart full of shit. Potato chips, ice cream, candy, cake, soda. That's what they're spending the money on. That's not what it was intended for. And then I think some states you can use your state benefits to buy like fast food with your EBT. What the hell? I think if you go on an EBT card, you should have to go through a class to learn about nutrition. Like, this is for food and this is what is healthy food. Vegetables, stuff like that. Fast food, candy, soda is not healthy. It is not going to help you. Therefore, you can't use the EBT card to purchase those items. And we'll explain to you why it's not healthy. Maybe they're doing it because they're ignorant and don't know any better. I don't know. But there should be a nutrition class required if you're going to go on EBT. And if you don't want to take the class, you don't get the card. It's that simple. But yeah, they were complaining about you can't buy cake or ice cream or soda anymore. That upset them. Not the fact that they're on the EBT card sucking off society. That didn't bother them. It was being told they can't buy shit food anymore because it's their money and they're going to feed their family the way they want to. Yeah. I could go on for hours about those idiots. But yeah, that's, excuse me. Again, closer to home, Baltimore's keeping it classy as always. De La Attar was arrested. She was arrested. The indictment alleges that Attar, who's 35 years old, is a Baltimore, Maryland city state senator, planted tracking and recording devices on two of her rivals, including recording them in bed together in an attempt to silence them. Attar threatened to release the footage of the two victims in bed unless they met her demands not to speak out against her again publicly. Court documents said that the two victims were political consultants whom she filmed in bed with married men. Additionally, the co-defendants were Joseph Attar, I'm assuming her husband, and Kalman Finkelstein, who I believe is a police officer in Baltimore City, were also taken into federal custody. Baltimore City, just Baltimore City. I think it's the third most dangerous city in the country, recently polled. They can't hire enough police officers to be there. The mayor of the city is a full-blown idiot who spent over $125,000 on his vehicle to go around the city. You got the state senator there who is just silencing her political rivals by blackmail and coercion. And the idiots in Baltimore will continually elect these same people back into office and then wonder why their city is burning. Why is the crime rate so out of control? Why are we like the third highest murder rate in the country? Why can't we get police officers? Why does the school system suck? Where's all our money going? Oh, let me vote for the same mayor again. See, I'm telling you, liberals have a mental disorder. They don't see the world as it is. They see it as they wish it was, and to them, that's reality. They don't care if it's not reality. And if you go against what they think reality is, you're the problem, not the mayor of Baltimore who couldn't balance his own checkbook. He's not the problem. You are. And you only don't like him because he's black, not because he's an idiot, not because he's spending money that he doesn't need to spend. That has nothing to do with it. The facts don't matter. It's only because he's black you don't like him. Not because he's a criminal or a crook or a moron. No, that can't be the reason. It's got to be something sinister because everybody knows that's what America is. It's full of sinister people making up lies and hating people for stupid reasons. So yeah, we have, what do they call them? The distinguished lady, or I know it's distinguished gentleman if you're in politics. I don't know what they would call a lady. But yeah, she's probably, and apparently in Baltimore, even though she's been, accused and I think she's arrested, she still gets to keep her job as a politician. Because that's just how Baltimore is. They don't make you step down when you've been accused of a crime or accused of, blackmailing your rivals. That's okay in Baltimore. You get to keep your job and your taxpayer-funded paycheck continues to flow. You can't make this stuff up. Break the law and still get paid. That's awesome. That is awesome. I don't know. Like I said, if I could make this stuff up, I could write a script for Hollywood and be like the next Jerry Bruckheimer. I would be a billionaire. But this is all true stuff, and I can't even believe it. I know it's true. I hate talking about this next idiot. I do. She makes my nose bleed. Jasmine Crockett. Yeah, that idiot. She thinks, as it says, Republicans are threatened by her and AOC. Two of the biggest idiots I've ever heard speak in my entire life. I mean, really. You've got Jasmine Crockett, who's college educated from a very prestigious college, but as soon as she gets on the TV, she turns to ghetto princess. That and this, and snapping her fingers and talking about, white men and white women, and I'm going to do this. Completely abandons her education because she's trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator, which is stupid people. And then AOC, who couldn't reason her way out of a wet paper bag if she had directions. Just a complete and utter moron. And she thinks that Republicans are afraid of them. They're probably afraid of them because they think the stupidity might be contagious and they don't want to catch it. That's the only reason I can think of them being afraid. Anyway, Jasmine Crockett's going to lose her job anyway. They've redistricted her out of her position, which is good. I mean, there's people in her district really need to start voting for intelligent people that really care about their constituents, not some idiot that's trying to get free airtime every time she opens her cake hole. And AOC needs to go back to bartending. Really. I think she came in when she was elected into office. She had like $70,000 or $80,000. Now she's worth over $1 million. Yeah, because that's how it works. She's not crooked or anything. That's just legitimate. But that's what you're dealing with. That's liberals right there, robbing you blind. And other liberals don't care. And if you call them out, it's only because, you're racist. Now, this last thing is really cool. I think last week in Australia, a bottle washed up on shore, and there was a handwritten note in the bottle from a soldier during World War I. So it's over 100 years old. It was found. I think that was pretty cool. The message in the bottle, written by two Australian soldiers a few days into their voyage to the battlefields of France during World War I, has been found more than a century later on Australia's coast. Inside the clear, thick glass were cheerful letters written in pencil by Privates Malcolm Neville, 27, and William Harley, 37, dated August 15th, 1916. Neville wrote to his mother he was having a real good time. The food is really good so far, with the exception of one meal, which had to be buried at sea. The paper was wet, but the writing remained legible. Because of that, Deb Brown, I guess she's the one that found the bottle, was able to notify both soldiers' relatives of the find. Harley's granddaughter, Ann Turner, said her family was absolutely stunned at the find. And I would be too. 100 years old and they find it. It's pretty cool. We just can't believe it. It really does feel like a miracle, and we do very much feel like our grandfather has reached out for us from the grave, Turner told Australian Broadcast Corporation. I thought that was pretty cool, that it actually washed back up on the shore of the country they came from so their family could be notified. That was pretty neat. It's 100 years old, so that's really cool. All right, so we're getting to that time where we got to get off here. I kept you long enough. And if you watch the podcast at all, you know I like to end the show with a opinion. Sometimes it has something to do with the podcast. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a random thought I had during the week, and I share it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it. You can ignore it. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm wrong. Whatever. It's just my opinion, and I just want to share it with you. So I will go ahead. And this one has to do with the show. So let me get into it. The media does not merely fail to hold Muslims accountable for the violence they inflict on Christians and Jews. It orchestrates a meticulous erasure of the victims and the sanctification of the perpetrators. When a Christian is crucified in Syria, a Jewish child stabbed in Jerusalem, or a Coptic church is torched in Egypt, the press does not pursue justice. It performs a vanishing act. The story is smothered in euphemism, drowned in context, or simply never told. The result is a world where the oldest religious minorities are bled out in plain sight, while the Fourth Estate polices the language of those who dare notice. Consider the arithmetic of annihilation. Since 2003, Islamic militias have driven Iraq's ancient Christian community from over 1 million souls to fewer than 200,000. Churches that stood since the apostles are rubble. Priests are kidnapped or ransomed or beheaded on video. The New York Times marks the exodus with a single paragraph buried in a story about sectarian tensions. When a synagogue in Pittsburgh is shot up by white supremacists, the same paper devotes weeks to the shooter's manifesto and the president's rhetoric. The message is brutal in its clarity. Jewish blood spilled by a Gentile demands national reckoning. Christian blood spilled by a Muslim is a footnote in someone else's civil war. The choreography is practiced to perfection. In Nigeria, Fallujah jihadists armed with AK-47s and a Quranic justification slaughter entire Christian villages. Over 6,000 murdered in 2023 alone. Churches burned, girls abducted, and sold into sexual slavery. The Guardian frames it as a farmer-herder clashes, exacerbated by climate change. No mention of the attackers' recorded boast that they have killed infidels to take their land for the caliphate. When a white gunman kills Muslims in Christchurch, the same outlet publishes a 14-page investigation into the white global supremacy issue. The hierarchy of outrage is not accidental, it's policy. In Israel, a knife is a preferred instrument of intimacy. A Jewish grandmother walking to synagogue is gutted like an animal in Hebron. A rabbi and his wife are machine-gunned in their car while toddlers watch from the back seat. The BBC headline, Palestinian killed after alleged stabbing accident. The Jewish corpse is erased in the passive voice. The Palestinian attacker becomes the subject. When a Jewish settler shoots a Palestinian rock thrower, the settler is named, shamed, and prosecuted within days. The Palestinian who stabs a Jewish child is alleged until his funeral becomes a heroic parade. The media does not report the double standard and enforces it. The silence around Christian genocide is perhaps the most obscene. In Egypt, Coptic pilgrims are executed on buses. In Pakistan, Christian girls are kidnapped, converted, and married to their rapists under Sharia courts that the Washington Post calls traditional justice. In Lebanon, Hezbollah shows strangulation of the Christian majority is covered as political gridlock. The same outlets that once thundered about Catholic cleric abuse now avert their gaze from imams who issue fatwas against crusaders. The Vatican pleads, the press yawns. This is not negligence, it is collaboration. Every softened headline, every invocation of cycle of violence that begins with Israel, checkpoints, and ends with Hamas rockets, every refusal to every refusal to platform the ex-Muslim apostates who document the theology of hate. It all serves the same end. The media has internalized the Hamami Pact. Christians and Jews may live, but only as diminished subjects whose suffering must not disturb the narrative of Muslim grievance. To name the persecutor is to risk the ultimate sin, Islamophobia. The only measure, the cause is measured in extinction. The Middle East, once a mosaic of faith, is being as ethically cleansed of its oldest inhabitants. The media does not mourn, it rationalizes. When the last Christian leaves Mosul, the Atlantic will publish a lament about lost diversity, without once mentioning who drove the Christians out. When the last Jew is chased from Malamo by Islamist mobs, Swedish television will blame rising anti-Semitism as if the swastika spray painted in Arabic are a mystery. Accountability begins with naming. The media will not name the knife wielder who screams Khaybar as he slits the rabbi's throat. It will not name the militia that burns a church with congregants inside. It will not name the ideology that teaches children that Jews are apes and Christians are swine. Instead, it policies the victims. The Jews who build a settlement is a provocateur. The Christian who rings the bell is a colonizer. The persecutor is granted the luxury of context. The persecuted is granted the luxury of silence. Until the press treats the murder of Christians in Africa with the same fury aimed at the priest in Boston, until it investigates the theology that justifies slaughtering Jews with the same zeal it applied to January 6th, the killing will continue. The media will keep writing the obituaries, careful never to mention that the victims were targeted for their faith, and that the faith of their killers was the reason they were never held to account. So there you have it. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with me tonight on Sunday. Again, I will be in New Jersey Tuesday night at about 6. Blackwood, and I'm going to show the flyer here in a second. If you're free, come out and say, hey, hang out with me in the Damons. It'll be a good time. Again, thank you for coming out. I know it's Sunday night. You've got other things you could be doing, so it's really cool you came out. I will see you Tuesday on here. I'll be on the Jersey Shore with Damon, and I will probably be on Wednesday. I think we're still doing the Pulse, even though it's going to be a crazy first couple of days of the week. We'll do that. So everybody have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good week. We will have something special next weekend, and I'll get more into that Tuesday. Don't forget to vote. If you live in New Jersey, your vote is important. Vote for the most conservative candidate you can find and support them any way you can. And again, I'll see you all Tuesday evening in live or on here. Have a good evening. And remember, if you live your life according to by principle and not a political policy or party, you're going to lead a pretty good life and leave something back behind that your family can be proud of. I will see you all Tuesday evening.
Righteous pride in this one big voice, it's our time. Generation fighters take the stand. From shore to shore we reclaim